5 Network. This is Titans Talk.
Hey there, welcome into Titans Talk. I am Steve Layman. Glad to have you with us on this Monday night, a victory Monday for the Tennessee Titans. And we're talking football here on News Channel 5. Plus, Titans go down to Jacksonville yesterday. They come out a winner, 37-16. It was a game that was hard to figure a little bit in the first half. Neither team could get anything going offensively. The Titans defense particularly sharp during that period of the game. And then in the second half, you saw what smash mouth can be for this Titans team. They went right after the Jags. They continued to pound it in the running game. And eventually they broke them down. They wore them out. And you felt like they crushed their spirit during that game. It was an impressive performance where they literally just wore the Jaguars down in the second half. And an offense that only put up 6 points through the first 30 minutes. Their first 5 possessions of the second half resulted in 31 points. The most points scored in a second half by any team to have the name Titans. The last time this organization scored that many points in the second half of a football game goes back to 1991 when they were based in Houston and named the Oilers. So that's just how good this performance was in the second half yesterday. And I think the Titans deserve a ton of credit because they kept patience. That was the type of game which I imagine if you were watching at home or even sitting in the press box yesterday in Jacksonville, it was hard to be patient. You wondered what was going on or what they needed to do to break through, and you wondered if they could break through based off of the way they were playing in the first half. If the offense was ever going to get going, or whether this was going to be a field goal type affair. The defense was causing turnovers, and the offense wasn't able to capitalize, or they would only get a field goal out of it. You just wondered what they needed to do to really get going. And then all of a sudden, they got going. The patience the Titans showed yesterday, to me, showed a mature football team and a team that's full of belief. Belief that certainly was not shaken by losing in the opening week. A lot of people were talking about the Jags and what they did in week 1 and how impressed they were by the Jags. We didn't have that problem yesterday. The Titans were ready to go yesterday in Jacksonville. And although it wasn't clicking right from the beginning of the game, they showed some patience and finally knocked through the door in the second half. And give a ton of credit to the defense, too, because that's a Jacksonville team that can run the football and is going to run the football against a lot of teams this year. I mean, Leonard Fournette is a hoss to bring down. They've got other guys. Grant and Ivory both bring something to the table in the backfield as well. That's a team that can run the football. And the Titans limited them from really doing anything on the ground, aside from the first possession yesterday. And they made Blake Bortles beat him. And as we've seen throughout his career, when Blake Bortles has the ball in his hand and has to make something happen for the Jags, more times than not, he's not going to make it happen. He's going to make a mistake. And that's what happened yesterday. Bortles fumbled on the Brian Orakpo sack and strip. He threw an interception right before halftime. Avery Williamson got his hand on it. Curtis Riley comes down with his first career interception. That led to a field goal that gave the Titans the lead. And then first drive of the third quarter, off the hands of a receiver, Denoris Searcy comes up with the pick. That led to another field goal, and that's really where the Titans started to seize control of that game. And again, that was at a point before the offense really got going, but the defense turned the tide of the game. There were 8 possessions in the middle of the football game yesterday, and listen to what the Jags did. After driving the length of the field on the opening drive to get a field goal, they went 52 yards on 12 plays. The next 8 possessions for the Jags were 3 and out, fumble, interception, 3 and out, punt. That's woeful offensively and a terrific effort by the Titans defense. And that's what you need to do. And because of that effort, the Titans win in Jacksonville yesterday for the first time since 2013, which was also the last time they got any sort of a road division win within the AFC South. They had lost 11 consecutive road games against division foes going into yesterday. And they turned that around with a full team effort. You know, you even had the nice return from Adoree Jackson to set up the first touchdown of the game when Derrick Henry got into the end zone. This was a Titans team yesterday that pieced all three phases together to get this game done. And now in this difficult first part of the schedule that we've talked about, where you had the Raiders in week 1, you weren't able to get over the hump there. You go on the road in the division in week 2. You get a win there. Now you come home against Seattle, a team that's been offensively challenged through the first 2 weeks, but packs a punch defensively and still is going to be most people's pick to win the NFC West. That's your assignment this weekend in Nissan Stadium. And then you go back to the road for 2. Another divisional game at Houston, the team that won your division a year ago, and then to Miami, a team you beat a year ago, so they'll be motivated, and won a game yesterday on the road. Jay Cutler looked pretty good, by the way, Vandy fans. So the schedule for the first month of the season, first 5 weeks in fact, we've always talked about it. It's a difficult schedule here off the top for the Titans. You do not want to start 0-2 because we all know the difficulties teams have coming back from that hole. Historically, since the NFL went to its current playoff format in 1990, teams that lose the first 2 games of the season only make the playoffs about 12% of the time. So while there's a ton of football left to be played, the Titans' win yesterday should not be overlooked as just another win. This was a division win. This was a road division win, and it prevents you from going 0-2, which would be a big hole to climb out of. And just think about the swing. Jags win yesterday. They're 2-0 with both wins coming in the division. The Titans would be 0-2. 2 games back of Jacksonville with a head-to-head loss at that point. Clearly not insurmountable when you have 14 games left, but not a position you want to be in by any means for a team that has high expectations this year. Not just to get back to the playoffs, but to win this AFC South division. So yesterday's win was big for that, big for the confidence of this football team. Our phone lines are open tonight, 737-7767. As we always do on Monday night, we want to hear from you guys about this Titans game. What were your impressions, especially watching that first half when things weren't going so well, and then into the second half when they started to click and the Titans began to dominate on the way to a 37-16 win? Again, phone lines are open, 737-7767. And first up tonight is Jeff. Jeff, thanks for the call. You are leading us off on Titans Talk.
Hey, Steve, I appreciate you taking my call.
You bet.
Hey, I called you last week and told you the biggest goal that Tennessee and the Titans need to have is winning this division.
Yep.
Can you say win the division?
I can certainly say win the division.
And I'm telling you right now, I'm so excited about the Titans win yesterday. They were called powder puffs. They were called terrible last week.
Yep.
They went out yesterday and they played a heck of a game. And I'm so proud of them.
There was no powder puff yesterday. That was a physical football game in the heat, in the humidity of Florida. And guess what? The tougher team won. The team that was more physical, the team that was better conditioned, the team that had the juice in the second half won the game, and that was the Titans. That was an effort that defines the smash mouth way they want to play. And it's got to be gratifying for them because they talked about it. And in week 1, in the critical moments, they probably got a little out-toughed or got a little bit punched in the mouth and didn't have the response against the Raiders. Yesterday, they were the ones throwing the haymakers, and that's the way this team wants to play.
Hey, you know, you got to play 60 minutes of football, and I had every confidence in them yesterday that they were going to come back and win that football game, and they gave it to the Jaguars. They put it on them.
Yeah, they did. Jeff, we appreciate the call. And I thought that was the most impressive thing yesterday. Talk about the defense and their terrific effort. Talk about the 5 possessions in the second half in a row where the Titans score points, 31 in all during that stretch. There were a lot of things to look to. Rookies stepping up, Derrick Henry stepping into the lineup and playing well. Delanie Walker continuing to impress. There are a lot of things to talk about yesterday in a positive light, but the thing to me that was the most impressive, coming off of a loss in week 1, you're playing neck and neck with the Jaguars in the first half. You can't get anything going offensively. You get a turnover and immediately turn it back over. For a lesser team, a team with less confidence and less belief, those are the types of things that can make you unravel on the road, make you fall apart. This team didn't do that. This team just stayed the course with their game plan and eventually broke through. And when they did, they put the foot on the gas and took it to the Jags. That to me looked like a team that believed it was going to win and believes it's going to win a bunch of games this year. And they're going to do it in whatever way they have to, and they're not going to be rattled when something goes wrong. Lose one week, they're not going to be worried about that or have a carryover effect. Turn the ball over, there's not going to be a carryover effect. This, to me, looks like a very, and not just looks, but acts like a very mature football team. You walk into the locker room today at St. Thomas Sports Park after this win. And again, we talked about some of the superlatives. First road division win in 4 years, breaking an 11-game losing streak. First win of the season. First win in the first division game. All of those things are things that you might want to celebrate given the history of this Titans team over the last several years. You walked in there today, it was very businesslike. They weren't playing music. They weren't hooting and hollering or laughing or joking or anything like that. This was a team that was looking at the film, ready to do corrections, and get ready for this week against Seattle. The common refrain today from coaches and players when we talked to them was on to Seattle. And you truly get the sense that, okay, they enjoyed it in the locker room. They got on the plane. They got back to Nashville. It was a bit of a celebration last night, as it should be when you work that hard to get a win. But that's over now. And it's time to move on to game week again. And this time it's against the Seahawks. That is a good sign. Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Priscilla. Priscilla, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for the call.
I wanted to say I'm so happy how the Titans played yesterday. The defense, I was amazed because, I mean, it seems like you were saying, they're all coming together and on the same level, and I think that that's what's going to push us all the way. Delanie Walker, he was amazing, and Henry, he's good, and he's good too. But I was just really impressed how they was just all working together as one team and playing some, like the coach said in that one video, old school football,
Right. There's no question about it. This was a workmanlike, businesslike effort from this team, and they played the way they want to play. This team wants to be physical. They want to grind it out against you. They can make the flashy plays. I mean, Mariota can scramble. He's got an arm. The Taywan Taylor 42-yard bomb was beautiful. They can make those flashy plays, but the way they want to play is to line up and punch you in the mouth. And yesterday they did that against the Jaguars very effectively.
I know when they had that the sack and the fumble at first, I was like, oh my goodness. And then when the interceptions was coming,
Yep.
I was just so excited. And I'm just so proud of them, and it's really our time. I think that if I've seen it on, I think it was like since 1991, that was the most scored points in the second half.
Correct.
I mean, that's awesome. And I can't wait to see us how we do against Seattle and just keep going,
Yep. No question about it. Priscilla, thank you for the call. I think a lot of people are excited about the direction of this team and what are the possibilities this year. And you see a performance like yesterday, and you certainly start to believe all that if you didn't already. And she talked about the turnovers. That was another thing that stood out to me because turnovers were such an emphasis for this team in the offseason about being able to force them and create the game turning and game-changing plays. And yesterday they did. Those 3 turnovers were huge in that football game yesterday. And the offense didn't make the Jags pay as much as they probably should have. Good gosh, if they did in the first half, that game would have been really ugly after halftime. But the Titans were just ready to go yesterday. And to force those turnovers shows that all that hard work in the offseason and that emphasis paid off for this team. And that you love to see. In week 1, there were no turnovers. It was a clean game on both sides. Yesterday, the turnovers made the difference for the Titans. They helped turn the game in their favor, and once it got in their favor, they put the foot on the gas, stepped on the throat of the Jaguars, and went on to win. Our phone lines are still open, 737-7767. They will be open throughout the night, so call us up, give us your take on the game, help us look forward to the Seahawks on Sunday afternoon. Don't forget, by the way, late kickoff this week, 3:05 kickoff, mid-afternoon kickoff, give you a little extra time to do the tailgating on Sunday. A late kickoff against the Seahawks at Nissan Stadium. So we'll talk more about that coming up. More of your phone calls, 737-7767 is the number. We'll get to the highlights from that game, plus go inside the keys and some other things as well. Stay tuned. You're watching Titans Talk here on News Channel 5+.